Oh shit, it's not even plugged in. RIP. This is a video about lamps. You think I'm kidding, but I'm being dead ass. So if it's dark, you can't see. Duh, obviously. Light is a wavelength. It goes through your cornea, then it enters and bounces off your retina. Then your little brain computes it into what we know as the visible light signal. This is why we as humans invented lamps. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, right? Because the lamp wasn't the first use of a light source in history. It was really the use of fire, and then thereafter we invented the candle. Candelabras, sconces as well. The earliest lamps throughout history. Early forms of lighting were usually made out of beeswax or taro. Fairly common alternative to the candle-based lighting source that you don't really see often used in movies, film, and television is going to be the oil lamp. First examples of oil lamps date all the way back to 1500 BC in the eastern Mediterranean part of the world. The way an early oil lamp worked is that there was usually some type of vessel or base that was filled with some type of oil, usually vegetable oil. Then a wick was placed inside of it and then lit on fire. Though, on the part of the world and the era of history it is, the shape of the vessel can change. Even earlier examples, animal shells were then filled with animal fat, lighted and used as a lighting source during these ancient times. We can't forget about the torch. This is a video about lamps, so I'm going to skip over it because it's not very much relevant. Torch, if you're British, might oftentimes refer to a handheld form of light, aka a lantern. The first lantern dates all the way back to ancient China with the Han Dynasty. And while it's up for debate as to who invented or the true source of the design of the lantern, we do know that the modern interpretation of the lantern, also known as the pressure lantern, didn't come about until around the 9th century with the invention of kerosene in Baghdad. Improvement allowed for a longer, cleaner burn time and replaced the other fuels that I had mentioned prior, such as taro, animal fat, as well as vegetable oil. The pressure lantern wouldn't have been adopted en masse if it wasn't thanks to the inventions and improvements in the ability and glass making technology that was found in the Industrial Revolution that made it easier and cheaper to manufacture. Pressure lamp wasn't just something that came to somebody in a dream, it's a refinement and an improvement on the technologies and the foundations found in the hurricane lamp. Hurricane lamp in and of itself being extremely derivative of the Indian oil lamp. Let's get physical. Okay, so while I don't have kerosene to actually light this lamp, you can at least see and get a little bit more in depth with me. So here's how one of these lamps would work. You would light this part on fire, and then you can adjust the flame by using this here. So you can see how when I turn it, it starts to come up. That's how you would cut the wick or use more of the wick at any given time. And then you would put this chimney on, which would help combust the oil upwards as it vaporized, and it would create the flame. So the way it works is that it's not so much the liquid like kind of the Indian lamp is, where the liquid is kind of soaked up into the wick. Now granted, there's probably some soaked into the wick, but there's mostly vapor doing the work here. And this is gonna be what I'm guessing is, it's an antique, it's a family heirloom, okay? But I don't know the exact era. I wanna say early turn of the century, 1900. While the technology that we know is electricity and the theory behind it dates as far back to 1500 BC, it can't be until 1879 that this technology would not only be practical but inexpensive enough to be widespread and slowly be adopted in our day-to-day lives as a regular alternative for fire-based lighting. It would give way to what is the first electric lamp, known as the arc lamp. Okay, so the arc lamp wasn't actually the first arc-based lighting system, it was just the first widespread and mass adopted. The actual first arc-based lamp would actually be the Yoshkov candle, invented 3 years prior to the invention of the arc lamp, because the Yoshkov candle was invented in 1876. The reason it didn't find widespread nor mass adoption was because of its actual run life of about 2 hours, or luminance life of about 2 hours. So there you go. Invented in Cleveland, Ohio by Charles F. Bush in 1879. Wabash, Indiana being the first city to widespread adopt electricity as the primary lighting source. Unlike the gas lanterns that were fairly popular at that moment in time, the arc lamp came with a lot of stipulations as well as difficulties, one of which being so blindingly bright that they had to be mounted up high, giving way to what is known as the Moonlight Tower. God, that's such a fucking poetic name. But these moonlight towers were spread across the US because the blinding lights of arc-based lamps were so bright that they could be seen 1 to 2 blocks away, and they were far from ideal, requiring a lot of maintenance and upkeep, so emitting this harsh hissing noise.
Cyberic's boyfriend will be back shortly.
You thought it was Billy, it's me Anthony here with the tap light. Tap that joint on. Boom. You like feet? There you go. Ooh, on your count of 2. Don't worry if you're feeling a little Babadook. I got you, bro. Watch this. Tap that joint on. Easy peasy. Bop. Tap light. Good night. Dumbass kids scared of the dark. They keep falling down the stairs. Don't worry, bro. Rob too often. Your broke ass can't afford a lamp from AutoZone. The tap light goes where you go. Don't worry, I'm about to light your ass up. We know you got bad credit. You can't afford our competitors at $9.95. Don't worry, we got you for $19.95. Don't worry, it only cost us 10 cents to manufacture these in some factory overseas. I'm gonna throw in 2 more for the exact same price. It doesn't hurt our profit. I guess my fly is undone. You can even put the tap light where the sun don't shine. Tap the fuck in. You got bad impulse control anyways. 1-800-774-7007. I would say one day Thomas Edison woke up with a light bulb above his head, but he had yet to invent the light bulb. I think he had an epiphany where he was like, let there be light, and then the light bulb came to be. Ironically enough, Edison had discovered as well as patented the light bulb earlier in the decade, in the same year in history that was equally as important, 1879. And over the following 10 years, he'd improved the design, including a vacuum tube, trying different filament sources like cotton or bamboos, even coming up with the screw mechanism known as the Edison screw. By 1910, Edison and Co. landed on Tuscan as the standard filament used within their light bulbs, and the goldenish hue on the color spectrum has become a shorthand for that range of color / wave and frequency used to this day. I also think it's mildly important to mention that at the same time that Edison was playing around with the incandescent bulb, he was also toying with the idea that would later be refined by other scientists, designers, artisans, that would become the fluorescent bulb. But I don't like fluorescent lighting. I don't think anybody likes fluorescent lighting, so I'm going to skip over that. Though if it wasn't for the strides made with fluorescent lighting, the tube that filled with gas, therein leading to the most beautiful form of lighting in the world, aka neon. So now that we've reached the invention of the light bulb, we are now in the modern era and the contemporary idea of what a lamp is. It would slowly begin having mass adoption into the middle class and upper middle class in the early turn of the century, which would put us somewhere in between the late Victorian design era as well as the arts and crafts movement, though the design of the lamp was perfected almost a century before. It's a lighting source with a shade on top, not only diffuse the light in the viewer's eyes, but to protect the bulb or whatever lighting source from the elements. It's a very simple design, and with the invention of the Edison screw, it was an easy design to manipulate and contort into whatever design was needed, be changing the axis that the lighting source sat on, whether that be vertical or horizontal. Multiple Edison screws together on one lighting source, like a giant chandelier, for example, or mimicking the more traditional design motifs of that of a candelabra. More or less what the design of your average table lamp is there to invoke.
Entirely new concept in living.
But lamps come in all shapes and sizes, so why make an entire video talking about them? Because I honestly truly do think that they are the best piece of furniture, and they can definitely make or break a room. From track, ambient lighting, to mood lighting, to the lamp that's attached to your first gen Game Boy that lets you play Mario on those late night car rides from your grandma's house. You know the one that looks very much like an anglerfish. I don't know if I have a favorite lamp, maybe the Arco floor lamp with its cement base, long post, and beautiful arch made to mimic that of an actual street lamp, its chrome shade juxtaposed against its brutalist cement base, the most mid-century modernist of lamps if you ask me. Another personal favorite of mine, though less practical, is the fringe lamp designed by Hans Age Jacobsen in 1960. Loud, gaudy, and a magnet for dust, and a perfect home for spiders and millipedes. Though it calls to me with its Art Nouveau inspired tier design, what's interesting about furniture is that for as simple as a design as this is, that there could actually be a namesake behind it. The trickle-down economics of lighting is a weird thing. And I'm sure you, viewer, in your somewhat modern home, hate your light, the one affectionately referred to as a ceiling titty, mainly due to its lack of presence, its slightly opaque milk glass dome, and doing the bare minimum, providing light with a touch of diffusion. As simple as changing the shade and not touching the base makes a world of a difference. Have you ever considered why diamonds glisten? It's not just the brilliance of the stone, but it's how we cut it, the prismatic shape allowing for light to bounce and refract around its crystalline structure. This effect can be achieved with glass. Granted, luster and carat might not be the same thing, but you can get some of the same refraction and drama, even as something as changing the tint of the glass itself makes a world of difference. So take amber, the color of glass, illuminating the hedonistic homes and key parties of the 60s and 70s. This choice of glass and the constant use of browns, oranges, and woods are why this era, when even shown at its foreclay glory, feels so sepia toned. And truth be told, I hate LEDs, not just the temperature of them, but they lack character, charm, they're cold, they last forever. Ironically, the first light bulbs were meant to mimic candlelight, the flicker and character. Honestly, sometimes I just sit and watch the fire, but during the hedonistic 70s, everything became moody and sensual design-wise. This gave way to the rain light, a sculpture centered in an open terrarium garden of sorts, with a scene of oil or rain falling down wires. Motion lamps, point blank period, really came into vogue during this era. This decade was filled with quirky sensory experience. It even gave us the fiber optic lamp, but the rain lamp is the peak dopamine machine. And even though the rain lamp has many a predecessor, one being the sculptural design of altar lamps. Molded polycarbonate, illuminated in the shape of a deity like Mary Magdalene, for example. 70s to 80s Christmas decor are one of the largest examples of this. It doesn't always have to be a deity, but, sometimes it's also Snoopy.
Hello, Bozo. Hashtag.
There are quirky postmodern examples of this sculptural design. Take the iconic martini lamp and the tons of palm tree and flamingo lamps out there, even the croissant lamp. And while it wasn't for worship nor spiritual purposes, I spent many hours of my childhood surrounding a lamp awestruck, the most popular lamp of this era, the largest cultural holdover from this era, the lava lamp. With its evocative motion and its simple yet stunning design that we culturally have always had a soft spot for. The lava lamp is just wax, water, and a microwave bulb after all. In the 2000s, we also had the aquarium lamp, some with water, some without water, a great form of nightlight meant to lull any anxiety-ridden child to sleep. Nightlights truly peaked during this era. It was the perfect time to be a nyctophobic, anxiety-ridden child, from the sunbeam mighty bulb and its hair gel older brother energy to the somewhat less important yet just as cool plasma bulbs. And if you were lucky enough, maybe you had the ever hunted after IKEA cloud lamp or ice lamps, maybe even the Octo lamp by Tom Dixon, which I only include for the need to talk about a glow-in-the-dark form of plastic, a personal soft spot of mine. And light up Skechers. Now you just charge your shoes. Though with the innovations of LED lights, everything has become more reliable, colorful, and on damn near everything. This came at the cost of luminance, but LEDs do allow you to spice up your life, and that's on the Spice Girls, right? Live out your personal A24 fantasy. Everything is backlit and moody. I think with the widespread adoption of LED, the texture of lights and other things has felt a certain loss. And excuse my boomerness, but I miss the 7-segment display. I think the loss of the art of light is what makes me hate the LED, though I'll give a better example of this loss of lighting: neon. Real neon is bright, captivating, and unmatched. I know a fake when I see it. I'm like the Holden Caulfield of lighting, you feel me? You feel neon. There's an unmatched texture to it. For the most part, neon was never really used in the home in mass, although it's more or less based on the same principles as the ever popular in home design fluorescent lighting. A gas tube lit by a current ran between two sides. The difference between fluorescent and neon is that other gases are added to the mix, thus giving the lamp in question its unique color. Its use of blown glass makes it a perfect conduit for sending a message, and send many a message it did, being the poster child for an iconic car boom era of America, only being phased out due to the cost. Hence my disdain for LED and my love for the dying art of neon. Though one could find neon indoors many a time in a public space, from marquees and build-outs and shopping centers like the bright orange Dreamcast sign at your local Kmart, and you to test the latest and greatest in home gaming entertainment. The more popular place neon was found was in the many watering holes all across America, and this of course brings us to the beer sign, coming in many a shape, size, and form. If you want any interior design tip to take from this video, take one from the beer sign. Any type of poster or image looks more beautiful and captivating when backlit. It just hits differently. Alright, so I hope this video has you very delighted, bro. Don't forget to hit the like, the comment, and the subscribe button, bro. Anyways, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend some time with me. I'm, as always, greatly appreciated and always delighted to be here. I am delighting I'm forgetting, I don't know. Listen, I'm running out of puns. The video's over. You don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. Bye.